able to hoover you and try to be able to get you into their lives. And so please be careful as we get into holiday season. That is a prime time. So diving in today, we're going to be jumping in with a couple different things. I've got this link that I'm putting out here. Looks like the live took a second to actually get live. So I've got this link that we're putting up here. So you can click on the link to be able to go live, or you can write in the chat to be able to ask questions. If you want to go live with me, you can click on that StreamYard link on YouTube and on Facebook. There's the Facebook one. And what it'll do is you can actually come in backstage here and come on screen. You can either do it with your camera or you can do it just with your audio. But we're going to be talking through like narcissistic abuse and walking through that. So yeah, something happened whenever I tried to go live. It kind of messed up. So hopefully you guys are able to get the notification. For some reason, I don't think it even like sent it out today. But we are live. Hello, hello. Rebecca, hello. Good to see you. Kristen, good to see you. Awesome. Good to see you guys on here. What questions do we have? So starting off Monday, everybody's a little sleepy, trying to get back into the rigmarole of everything. Do all relationships end bad with narcissists, or is it just mine? No, pretty much all do. There's not really a ton of narcissistic relationships with a high sense of ego, entitlement, enviousness, sense of superiority, and manipulation that normally end in a positive way. And typically they all end in a place that is hurtful and is traumatic a lot of times. So that happens a lot of times. So it's not just you. My ex's messaged friends yesterday to start a smear campaign. Smear campaigns are really tough. A lot of times people want to be able to fight or combat smear campaigns. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest things you can do to be able to avoid the smear campaign and to be able to get rid of the smear campaign is simply to ignore it. Like it doesn't even exist. Let everybody else seem like they're the crazy ones that they're going through and trying to make all this stuff up about you and about other people, when in reality, they're just making up a bunch of lies. When you keep living out your truth, they start noticing like, hey, like this actually isn't working. Like they're not actually matching up to what I've been saying. Hello, hello. Got everybody joining here. Awesome. Good to see you guys. Did you always have a backup supply, or was there ever time that you were alone? There was never a time that I was alone. It was always person after person after person. So a lot of times I talk about the idea of like the cycle. The cycle that I had was very much so. Like there was always like one person leaving my life while someone was already coming into my life. There was never like a spot where I was alone. That would have been a good thing for me. That would have been a good thing for me to actually process and work through. But what was happening was I wasn't alone. I just kept going, cycling from person to person. Why would my ex lie to me about him dating someone even though he's not interested in me anymore? A lot of times that's to keep the same thought process, the same idea of like, this is what, I'm thinking or what I'm experiencing, even if it's a lie, even if it's not the truth. But it's like, hey, I'm trying to make sure that in my mind, I'm justified because I don't want to deal with the guilt. I don't want to deal with the shame. Do you ever get tired of going through person after person at all? Do they ever get tired of that? So a lot of times a narcissist doesn't really think of the idea of going from person to person. It's more or less like, oh, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. Now I do this. They live very much in the moment, which is also why they don't really like learn from the past. They don't reflect on the past. They don't think about the past. All they do is think about right now and just moving through that. That's why a lot of narcissists will go through, giant cheating sprees that could endanger a lot of different people, and they don't care because they're not thinking about the other person. They're not thinking about the ramifications of what could actually happen. They're not having that like forward thinking of this might happen if I do this. It's more like this is what I want, so therefore that's what I'm going to go after. Okay. If you guys are just joining in, we do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. You can click on the link on YouTube and on Facebook to be able to go live with me in that StreamYard link. Basically lets you come on screen, and you can either come on screen with your video or just your audio to be able to ask questions. Okay. Recent ex has bad tendencies, confused because he did so many great things, took kids to all sports practices, games, so involved, and bought us so many things, involved in so much. Seems that money was supposed to cover gaslighting, silent treatment, abusive behavior, etc. What about all good things he did? Some narcissists do that much. Yeah. So a lot of narcissists will do that a lot of times because of the fact they're trying to be able to justify the person that they actually are. they're trying to justify, everything that's going on like underneath the behavior. So like with that would be more of like a communal narcissist or like a covert narcissist, or trying to slide underneath the radar by saying like, hey, let me throw money at it, let me be this great person, let me look this way, when reality what's underneath the surface is the same shit that everybody else sees in your relationship. The gaslighting, the silent treatment, the abusive behavior, all those things are there, but typically like they try to hide it under different aspects. Okay, yep, got it. Do they revert on their past when supply runs out? Like reflect on it? No, not really. Revert on it? Not really, because it'd be more lines of like, those people left me, or like, I can't believe like this happened. And typically you're going to have a narcissist that's not really going to let his supply run out. Like the whole goal is like there always has to be someone in the works. If they're mainly on like, the cheating and always being with someone, it's like there has to be someone always in the works. If it's a different type of supply, then it has to always be like something, that has to keep perpetuating. Otherwise we run into an issue of having to sit alone with ourselves. Okay. So that's a huge part of it. All right. So I got one person back here in the studio to ask a question, or let me see here. Hello. How are you?
I'm all right. I have a question, Ben. Do
Yes.
narcissists stalk people?
Yes, a lot of narcissists do, especially when they're higher on the scale of sociopath, psychopath, for sure. But a lot of times narcissists do stalk because they're either trying to understand what's going on. So they have like knowledge is power. So they think like, if I know everything about this person, I can still control them. Or they're still trying to keep an eye or an idea out for their property because they're viewing ownership over another person.
Right. Well, I was just curious because, and what about like if a narcissist stalks you, right, and they finally, get you to a point where you're having a friendship, or you're like, there are just regular people out here who just want to have a friendship and move, and have like conversations or something. Like right now I'm at the gym. I say hi to somebody doesn't necessarily mean I'm trying to jump in bed. You have to deal with people throughout your day. But if that person stalks you and then finally triangulates your time, and you're with that person, and then what happens is, say, does the narcissist get bored of you? Basically they get bored eventually of you, and then, you know what I mean?
If they're addicted to the chase, then yeah, once they catch you, then they're bored of that chase and they have to find someone else to chase because they don't know what to do once they've actually caught someone.
Right, because that's what he told me. He told me that he wanted to get to know me, and I said, well, now you know me. So that's what his words out of the horse's mouth. I wanted to know you. When I told him, we used to joke about it, but I really wasn't joking. I said, well, you stalked me that day at the library, and I knew it was stalking, but because of my childhood trauma, I didn't want to call the cops and make a big stink about it, because I didn't feel like going through, oh, you're crazy, you're just overreacting. You know what I mean? Like, that puts me in I've always put myself in these dangerous predicaments because I'm always scared. Like, okay, if I do call the cops and report this, I'm afraid, like, oh, because when you're homeless, a lot of people are prejudiced or prejudge you. And that makes it harder sometimes for me, because all my life I've been written off as just crazy or something. So, and that's kind of how he triangulated me that day forward. And I had one more question. Also, when you're talking with someone narcissist or a toxic person, say like, you're talking, you're developing a friendship here and there, right? And you're just, does it get to a point where they love bomb you to the point where you start obsessing about them? Does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, where they make it so that a lot of times when you have like the obsession of the narcissist, it typically happens with the idealization and the devaluation put back and forth, like the ups and downs. And so like trying to love bomb you and then trying to like pull back and then love bomb you and pull back. And then it becomes something that the other person becomes really obsessive about them. And that's when the narcissist can leave the relationship and wait for a reverse Hoover, like wait for that person to approach them, because they've already built that system into place of like, let me give you a bunch of gifts and then let me push you away and like, let me pull back and then you come back, back and forth kind of a thing.
Well, what I experience is I mean, I have my own issues, as we all do, but I've always been that way. Does that make me a narcissist because I wanted to help him? I bought him a phone. I tried to help him. I wasn't But
No,
when I
not at
set my,
all. That'd make you like the exact opposite in that regard.
yeah, like I wasn't doing it with
Hmm.
evil intentions. He was homeless as well. Um, I don't want to take up too much time. I know there's other people, but he bragged to his friend because he told me it came back to me. Somebody else that I was triangulated
Okay.
with him. He came to me and he said, "Yeah, he told him that lady loves me so much that she was going to buy me a phone." So is that something like a red flag because to me it was a red flag.
Yeah, that would be a red flag of him trying to use someone else's words, some triangulation, some manipulation to get what he wanted.
Well, what I mean is he told a friend he told a friend of his or an associate, and the associate reported it back to me and said, "Yeah, he told me that." He said he told him that lady loves me so much that she was going to buy me a phone. So that's what I'm saying. That's what my ex said. So that's
Mhm.
what you're saying. That's a red flag.
Yeah,
And what would make that a red flag? Like he's bragging.
because you didn't tell him that you'd buy him a phone at that point. Like if he's like projecting that onto you or trying to brag about something that's not actually there that he's going to get from you, like that's bragging about his manipulation.
Well, yeah, in essence, we were at the mall and he tried to tell me, no, 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 you don't have to. But
Mhm.
then he went and like told his friend about it. Is that still the same thing? Like kind of boasting to somebody that
Mhm.
that I
Yeah.
loved. I cared so much about him. I was going to buy him. I was helping him buying a phone, this and that. Like, am I understanding that right? Like, is that another area where is a narcissistic trait maybe? Like he's bragging to the
Not
person?
necessarily a trait. It's not like a characteristic, but it still looks like manipulation in that way.
Like he's been like manipulating me to like is love bombing like telling somebody they're beautiful, sending them a bunch of heart emojis and stuff like that? Is that part of love bombing?
Yeah, but in an overt sense, yeah.
Right. Okay,
Mhm.
I know I'm still like I'm trying to. I've been good. I haven't went any. I'm just gonna stay away. I'm at the gym, just trying
Yeah.
to get my anger out in a healthy way. Stay away from him. But yeah, I still have a lot of unanswered questions. And then of course, like I said, after he sexually assaulted me, there was 3 times of non-consensual contact, and
Hmm.
that's kind of so. And then the pornography and the phone. So I
Right.
just know that for my recovery, that's not somebody that I need to be dealing with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thanks for coming
So,
on. I appreciate it.
all right, Ben, I appreciate you. Have a
All
good
right.
day.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
All right. Looks like I've got Terry here in the studio. Let me go ahead and bring you on. Hello. Hello. Can
Hey, are you
you hear
okay?
me?
Didn't expect you then to come on.
How are you doing today?
Not bad, thank you.
Awesome. It's good to meet you.
And you?
What else going on?
I don't even know where to start, to be honest.
Oh, we lost her. I think she might have clicked the wrong button. All right. Kristen, I've got you. Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
how are
How are you doing
you?
today?
I'm good. I'm going on 97 days of no contact so far.
Awesome. Awesome. That's
Um,
great.
yeah, it is. I'm proud of myself. So I'm a little more halfway to my goal right now, which is going to be, I'm trying to make it to next year in February, which would be 6 months for me.
Okay.
Solid contact.
Yeah. Awesome. That's really cool. I'm very proud of that. Great
And,
job.
but lately I've been having like this urge where I just want to go to his house and say something, but I just keep trying to not even
Hmm.
think about doing that because I know it won't do any good. And I
Right.
want a crazy person, so
Yeah, you got to remember that the story you're telling yourself about going there and doing that is false. Like it's not going to produce any results that are actually going to be beneficial for you or for your healing.
no, I know that.
Hmm.
I know, but it's just sad that we have to play these, childish games with these people. No offense, but I don't mean to say
Hmm.
that, but you know what I mean. That we have to.
Right.
Why can't we just talk like two human beings over dinner and just work out our differences? Which I don't understand that. Like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't
He
know.
doesn't care to talk because of the guilt and the shame. Like I'd rather not communicate if that means it's going to expose me for being the person that I am.
Right. All I ever wanted from him was just a, simple apology, not a blanket apology, but
Hmm.
apology for each one of the things that he has done to me. But
Right.
I know that's never going to happen. And part of me also wants to meet the main supply to see what is so damn special about her where I had to receive all this punishment from him.
Nothing special about her, and you'll just hurt yourself if you see her, because at the end of the day, it doesn't have anything to do. The main supply could be amazing, could be awful, could be rich, could be poor. Doesn't matter. The main supply is just the one that doesn't have any boundaries that lets him keep coming back.
I know, but I don't know why I feel like I'm such a terrible person where he just threw me out like I'm garbage, like I wasn't good enough. And I, when I'm a woman just like her, I'm not, I don't know, what is she, God? I mean, is she Jesus that walks on water? I mean, I just can't help
No, that's the difference that you're not hearing, is she doesn't have anything more. She has less boundaries. Like, if you wanted to go back to him and do everything he ever wanted and just always submit to him and not stand up for yourself or have human rights, then you could become the new supply. Like, that's how it works. But the fact that he's not with you is showing that he's going back to someone that doesn't have boundaries or even like self-respect or like love for themselves, because they're still letting him treat them in that abusive way.
That's very true. And because I was strong and I stood against him, he's like, I don't want to deal with her. Bye.
Right. That's a huge part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I am proud of myself for that. And the way I look at it, she's the weaker party, and I'm not. It goes back to that one saying, I don't know if you ever heard of it, when it comes to one man and two different women, the man who's weak himself usually goes with the weaker woman, but he would rather be with the stronger woman. So I don't know if you ever heard of that saying before, and I always think of that saying.
Right. Well, definitely stay the stronger one by staying away.
Right, I know.
Don't stoop to the games.
I won't. I feel like I'm past that, surpassed that. Not to sound.
We'll just keep working on the journaling and the story you're telling yourself, because that's the big thing that needs to keep you like locked and loaded, knowing this is who I am and this is the direction I'm going, and this person no longer fits in that direction.
Exactly. And he's just going to go down the path of destruction. So I don't know who's ever watching out there, but please stick in no contact. Don't make the mistakes I have made, where I went back to him a few times because, I'm human and I missed them and I love them still. But every time I went back, just like all the videos say, it gets worse and worse and worse. And I don't want to do that anymore. I'm just emotionally don't have anything left in me to deal with his attitude anymore.
Right. No, absolutely. Awesome. Well, I'm really proud of you being above 90 days. Let's keep it up.
Yeah, 97 tonight. So
awesome. Sounds good. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Ben.
All right. Take care.
All right. You too. All right.
Bye. All right. Awesome. So that's how it works. If you guys are new here, so you just click on the link that's up on the screen on YouTube and Facebook. Just click that StreamYard link, and you can be able to come live as well. I've got AG here in the studio. Let me go ahead and bring you on. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you doing today?
Not bad. Just calling from New Zealand there.
Awesome. It's good to meet you.
You too. No feedback on got you on this.
Nope, I got you loud and clear. I think we're good.
That's good. Well, I guess I've just split with a partner. We were together for 2 years.
Okay.
And I guess I want some clarification really on whether or not you think, or if she's a narcissist or maybe a covert narcissist. I'm kind of struggling. She said some stuff about my daughter. I have a daughter from a previous relationship.
Yeah.
And just to give you a quick idea, Charlotte was playing. She's a really well-behaved kid. Like everyone kind of mentions that, and usually does what she's told. But there were 2 times she played with her cat toy. I bought her this really nice cat. Second time she played with a cat toy, she pulled the ball out and said, if your daughter touches that cat toy again, I'll strangle her. Now, it was, let's say, lighthearted. It wasn't a joke, but that's what she kind of claimed it to be. And then what really got me was the response. I said, watch your mouth, because it wasn't the first time she'd kind of said negative things about Charlotte. And then she said, if she wasn't so fucking annoying, I wouldn't have said it. And it just seemed to be kind of really harsh version of the same thing that she always did, which was like externalization of blame, never being able to apologize. Like she'd apologize really, but it would be usually after a bit of force from me, let's say, a little bit of pressure, and that would always be, well, not always, but more often than not, a really weak apology, and often saying things like, "Oh, I've already apologized once," you know, or you know,
right. How did she respond to like other things in life that were, you know, like rule following or stuff that she had to, you know, agree to, or stuff that she had to, you know, be submissive to, like laws or other people's like thoughts or opinions?
It's kind of hard because we live kind of fairly sheltered as far as she doesn't have many friends. I mean, she's only been in New Zealand for 8 years. And she's got like loose friends, but like we didn't really hang out with many people very often. So she hung out with my friends a wee bit. The only thing I can mention is her workplace. I mean, they called, I found out just as we were breaking up, like at that kind of end period, that they called me Saint Andrew. And the reason being is that they were like, how do you deal with her, sort of thing. And they mentioned that, you know, she acts up at work. I mean, I can't remember the exact words, but, you know, sometimes she does it to the clients too, or something along those lines.
Oh, wow.
She was pretty good. I think she was pretty good at taking like command from her work colleagues, from her bosses. But I think she got disturbed a lot by work. Like every time she came home, I'd hear for like an hour about like this client, that client, that client. You know what I mean? And to me, it was pretty straightforward. Like you're kind of front of house. You're going to deal with it. But taking command, I mean, from me, didn't like it. You know, like. But I'm not. I couldn't be certain about that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know for sure. Obviously, there's a lot more like other things and other characteristics that go into, you know, narcissistic disorder to be able to determine, to be able to see. But I mean, you know, a huge like flag is like her like talking to the kids like that, especially if it's, you know, not in a joking tone, but even then, like that takes joking to a whole nother level that shouldn't really be, especially around the kids and to that degree for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just hard. I still have feelings for her. I'm like, I don't let people walk over me, but I'm also quite empathetic. You know, like I'm quite a strong person, but I'm also very caring. And so a lot of our arguments was me just like not really letting her kind of get away with bullshit, you know. And I often feel like I was being too kind of controlling, or, you know, too much pressure on her. And I think there may be some truth to that. But I think also that's kind of her excuse kind of thing to be like, you know, like I didn't like it. You know, I was basically standing up for myself.
Especially with them saying that he was acting like the same way at work is also some like red flags there too. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. And there was a lot of like demeaning comments, kind of emasculating me often, and like there was, I think like I find life quite funny, so when she would do something silly or something, I'd have a laugh at it, but it wasn't like mean. It wasn't like they're trying to be mean. It was just I find life amusing, especially the black side of life, or the dark side of life. And I think maybe she'd taken that such a wrong way, and then like every moment she could get, it would be like, oh, why are you wearing that t-shirt? Or, you know, like, oh, my ex-boyfriend had abs, she said once. And, you know, just constant like picking. And I've kind of got to a place now where I'm like, I feel like absolute shit. And I'm like a confident guy, you know what I mean? Like most people say that I'm outgoing, confident, I don't really, but I feel like a shell of a person. You know, I can hardly get out of bed in the mornings, and life's just really taking a massive turn, eh? And yeah, I think, is that like trauma bonding or something? I mean, it's stuff I'm just learning about, but
yeah, so I definitely say like keep watching videos and keep listening, because a huge part of like the trauma bond is having like the hope and potential of like there being a possibility of there being like an interaction of that person coming back, or you know, things like that. And also like a part of the trauma bond is the cognitive dissonance, which is where the words and the actions don't match up, and where you're left kind of like in the middle of like, what do I actually believe, like this or this, you know, that kind of a thing. So like being able to, I would definitely recommend, like, now that you guys are a part of like going through and like writing down and even like journaling, you know, what actually happened, to try to get to the place of like, this is what really happened. Because sometimes like the truth is very like elusive to a lot of people who have been in a narcissistic or an abusive or a toxic relationship, and getting out and trying to understand like, hey, this is what's actually going on. That truth oftentimes exposes stuff that we need to work on, and exposes stuff that we believe that wasn't actually real.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I feel. Is like, I keep going over in my head about what actually happened, and kind of not who was in the right, but like, you know, was that acceptable? Was that my fault? Or maybe I did this and maybe I did that, and it's just replaying over and over. And yes, it's crazy. Yeah, I've never been through this before. You know, it's a whole new cup of tea for me. So yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, I think you're on the right track, and definitely would suggest like with the journaling, and even like I've got a couple of videos on YouTube that go more in depth of like the trauma bond and how to start working through of like breaking the trauma bond, because it's essential of getting down to the truth. That's one of the hardest things, because a lot of times people want to run away from the truth because it feels so painful. It feels so much of like, I don't really want to like feel this, or actually acknowledge that this happened, or like this is the intention, or this is how the person showed up, because sometimes it reveals either stuff about us that we don't want to deal with, or sometimes it reveals the hurt in the situation that can be really hard. So there can be an aspect of, you know, still loving and caring, but it needs to be something now from a distance, you know, something that you're now more focused on, you know, hey, at this point, like I got to make sure that I'm there more daughter than I am for this person who's so negative in that regard.
Yeah, it's hard because, you know, you want to work things out and everything, but at the same time, I think I know it's not, you know, it's not what's best by any stretch of the imagination. It's you know, it was a fight every other week. You know, you just couldn't go 2 weeks without having a fight. So no matter what, who was wrong and who was right, like at the end of the day, it was just terrible. And we tried, and you know, it just didn't work. So I guess it is what it is. I'm gonna try to move on with my brain. Like the logic is clear, you know.
Right.
But when you wake up in the morning still thinking about it, and it's just makes it hard. But
yeah, writing down the logic and getting to the story that's underneath the logic of like what's actually the emotions that are kind of pulling out a story that you believe. Oftentimes that's what helps get people clear, is like, even, or I guess like do this, like when you sit down to journal or write some stuff down, sit down and start to ask yourself, like, what did this person demonstrate? You know, how they demonstrate love, how they demonstrate respect, how they demonstrate honesty, how they demonstrate care, like those different types of things. And sometimes people start to see a little bit more clarity whenever you put that word in there, because then you start to realize some of the stuff that they said, or that it felt, or that it thought, like all of a sudden don't have the actions backing it up.
That's exactly what it was. It was like I felt cared for in moments, and I felt absolutely loved, like more love than I'd ever had in my whole life. Right. And then when I was upset at her about something, it was, you know, cold and too bad, and you're being sensitive, and you know, like no accountability, externalization of blame, and all that stuff felt really unloved. And then, but obviously, whenever I did something wrong, she would get understanding and caring and apologies, and that for me, that kind of keeps replaying in my head, is that like that's the stark difference, was, you know, in a real way, that, you know, no matter what your little problem might be, you know, you need to give your partner some understanding, you know. And I just felt like she never ever could put herself in my shoes and say, oh, I can see how you feel that way, like it's not what it was, or I didn't think that way, but I can see how you do, and I'm sorry for upsetting you, but we'll make sure it doesn't happen again, whatever. I mean, that's how I deal with issues. And I convince myself sometimes, oh, well, not everyone deals with issues that way, but I think that you're meant to, right? And if you can't do that, then that's an issue for the relationship, I guess, right? So
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, definitely if you want to talk some more, like reach out. So you can reach out on my website, The Raw Motivations, but look up on YouTube. I've got a couple videos on there called Breaking the Trauma Bond, and check some of those out too. Okay.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Hey, it's good to talk to you. Take care.
You too.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. Everybody jumping on is absolutely incredible, because jumping on is not the easiest thing to do. You know, sometimes getting on and being worried about what other people are going to say, or sometimes people like attacking what we say, what we do, like it's huge. And so it's really courageous for a lot of people to jump on. So thanks everybody who's jumped on so far. I've got another person here in the studio. Let's go ahead and bring you on. Hello. How are you doing today?
Okay. How are you?
Doing well. Good. It's good to hear from you. What's going on today?
I have a question for you.
Absolutely. What's up?
When you found out what was wrong with you,
Mm-hmm.
how long did it take you to want to change? And something had to trigger it.
Close to like well, when I first was introduced to the idea of narcissism versus when I actually started like pursuing anything was probably close to a year, maybe a little bit less than that. And then from me starting down that road to actually like doing something different, as far as like even getting into EMDR, even getting into therapy and things like that, didn't produce a change to start off with. It was just something that I was doing, which is why my wife left when I was in therapy. And so it was probably like another, I don't know, maybe close to another year or so after that. There's also experience that I had in going to a sex addiction intensive, that I went to that, where my boss and my wife at that time thought that I was a sex addict, and like went into that and like walked out of that kind of, I used it in an illustration on a video today that is actually along the lines of like, I walked out like frustrated because like that meant I was a narcissist, but I also walked out a little bit relieved of like, okay, well, this is just finally what it is. Because for a long time I'd had an idea that something was wrong and something was different, but I didn't have the words or the thought or like the connection of what was actually going on.
Yeah, I came across your videos a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a relationship with someone that was undiagnosed.
Mm.
Well, after, many breakups and such,
Mm-hmm.
I confronted him about it, brought the videos to his attention, and he said it suited him to a T, and that he doesn't know why he does the things he does.
Okay.
And I know, I know that he will never change, but he keeps saying he's going to.
Right.
And that this is what makes sense to him.
Are you still with him now?
He's trying to get me to come back.
Gotcha. So I wouldn't go back until he proves it. The words mean nothing.
I know the words mean nothing because I've seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
Except I didn't have a reason why he kept doing this. And literally, if he had a dictionary definition, it would be this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Until he actually follows through with that change, has a plan and actually does it, then there's no hope in that direction of him actually coming to terms and, following through with that. I have I think it's a YouTube video of like how to set boundaries with a narcissist. Basically, the concept is you come up with 6 boundaries/goals. You can communicate a max of 2 of them, and the other 4 you never let the other person know, because you want these ideas and goals that are quantifiable and time sensitive to see if there actually is any change, or if they're just trying to like please you just to be able to get you back.
Well, the thing is how he's a man that never talks about his feelings. And the thing, he wrote me this 3-page letter. I've never seen him get so emotional, besides the fact when I found out he cheated. He kind of went a little crazy. But I know that the change isn't quick, and I know I shouldn't even believe that he's going to, but I can't help but think that maybe it is real this time.
And
I know he's never, you know, gonna be the person that I met.
Yeah.
But he's still got, you know, those good qualities that are actually there.
A lot of times the potential is what locks people into the relationship and builds some of that trauma bond. So with that, you have to look at the demonstration. You have to look at what's best for you or for your family or whatever it might be, and make those decisions accordingly. And if he's not going in the direction that you're going, then it's not something that's going to be helpful for you to stay in that relationship.
I know. I tried to date other people. It didn't work out.
Well, yeah, it doesn't sound like it would, because you're still in the trauma bond. You still want to go back. You still have like those feelings and hope in one sense. And until those are actually healed and worked through, then all you're going to do is take your baggage to other relationships.
Yep.
So yeah, that's definitely like the part of the trauma bond of starting to break down the actual story that you're telling yourself that typically is a false narrative of fantasy.
Yeah, and I got to that point where I knew that.
Right, but knowing and believing are two different things. That's why a lot of people get away from a narcissist and know tons about narcissism, but don't have it where they're not stuck in their head still. Because a lot of times people are still trauma bonded, even though they have time, energy that have been away from that person.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the talk.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. All right. Got Maria here in the studio. Maria, can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, Ben.
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Today? Yep, I can hear you.
Not too great.
Okay, what's going on?
No contact that turned into detached contact just turned into me kind of crumbling again. Not getting back with him or anything, but, you know, all the stuff he says to me. So I'm, you know, of course, I'm at fault, and he's not diagnosed to be a narcissist. He's apparently going to therapy, and his therapist told him that I'm the narcissist.
Okay.
But today he finally kind of admitted something, and he told me that the one that he cheated on me with back in January and February wasn't the only one he was with at that time. He had other ones because he was trying to find someone to replace me so that he could leave me. And so it didn't count as cheating.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm like, that is literally like that's textbook, man. And in his mind, it was my fault because I was such a terrible person. He had to find someone else, but he needed to make sure he had someone to go to.
Yep, that sounds very much like a narcissist.
And so he was like,
that means his therapy is going to be useless, so I wouldn't count that at all.
Yeah. See, I've already told him, you know, because I had asked for therapy when we broke up back in February because I knew he had cheated on me. And I didn't really, I thought he was a narcissist, but at the time I didn't really realize how it worked. I thought it was still curable and stuff. So I told him to please go to therapy, to parenting classes, and to something for like drug counseling because he's been an addict over the years. And so I had asked that like right when we broke up. He didn't even start therapy until May. And then according to him, he started parenting classes at the beginning of this month, November.
Okay.
But it's my fault he's not getting to see his kids because I just won't let him see the kids.
Right.
And I'm like, no, because you're not doing anything to want to see them. Like the little things that I did ask you didn't do, but it's always my fault.
Right. And that's classic. I always turn it around on you so that it makes you doubt yourself, and it makes you actually like placate to their demands because you think that you're the wrong person. That's the goal, is like, let me make it so that you're the bad person so I don't feel bad about myself, and so I make you actually do what I want you to do.
Yes, that's it. And it's like, you know, for so long I was so strong and I was like, nope, you're not going to get in my mind. But the whole little talks we had today, it kind of just, it got in my mind. Even though, you know, you try to be strong and you know better and you have those tools to use, if you talk to them, it gets in your mind. Yeah. And, you know, like the last one that just called in, I wanted to let her know, she said she had been dating. She needs to leave the one she's with and not ever go back, because that right there, years later, will still be thrown in her face and be used as a weapon against her. Because I had been with my ex for 7 years and I found out he had cheated on me, you know, way back when. And we broke up completely broke up. And I dated a new guy about 2 months later, and we were in about a 6-month relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out that guy, apparently I just know how to pick him. And so we broke up, and I got back with my ex because he came and he was like, I know what I want now. I want my family. I know what I want. And so we got back together, planned a baby. He wanted that baby. He planned that baby. I gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he has thrown that other man in my face for years now. He still uses that against me to excuse all the cheating and all the mistreatment he gave me all these years.
So you say that you cheated?
Yeah, he said I cheated.
Yeah.
Even though we were broke up at the time whenever I got with the other person. But in his mind, it was the same as cheating because I hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was the same as cheating. And he still, to this day, throws that person in my face.
Yep.
And that somehow excuses all the cheating he's done and all the mistreatment he's done over the past 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because he, in his mind, has it that I had cheated on him, even though he knew that we had been broke up when I got with that guy.
Right. And the thing that's crazy is like, that's a good example of how they're going to hold anything and everything against you. But like, he would have found something else. Like he would have found like how you replace the batteries in the remote to be able to cheat on you. Like literally, like it could be anything. And so like
we were together for all in all,
put back on you so that they're not at fault.
Yes, like we were together all in all for 11 years. For the first 8 years, never had a problem with my cooking, loved my cooking, never said anything negative about it. And then one day he hated my cooking made him sick, my cooking didn't taste like his mom's, and I couldn't do anything right after that.
Right.
So it's like, any little thing that they can just find to make a fight out of. And so, like I know I'll never go back to him. He's got his new woman. They've been together 9 months and she's 6 months pregnant. And she's just the perfect one for his life, according to them.
Right.
But it's like I still let his mind games get me. And that's why it is so important to just no contact, like you've said over and over. And since we have kids, I do try, but it's like every time I try, it always comes back to teach me why I shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a huge part. Like, yeah, I would get back to that no contact and try to keep that as close as possible.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Awesome. I've got Helen here in the studio. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi, Ben. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing today?
Good. I can tell I'm in a trauma bond when I'm listening to your podcast and it's talking about boundaries. And I hear my narcissist coming home and I make a mad dash to change the podcast to a murder podcast. It's like, how messed up is that? I should be able to be listening to boundaries.
Well, we're giving him ideas, switching the podcast to that. You never know.
Really?
You're crazy when you never know. There's lots of crazies out there. You gotta be careful.
I know, especially since he's been semi-diagnosed with antisocial behavior.
Yeah.
I'm going to share that because my narc has been in counseling for 2 years, going to get help, going to take this, said, because I brought attention to it, showed him your video, and he said, yeah, that's me, I'm going to talk to my counselor and get this see if I have this diagnosis. Well, then he started rethinking it. And then he started saying, Ryan from Raw Motivations, because he's a jerk. He's, gonna do that. I'm like, no, it's Ben. Ryan, no, you're so stupid. You're so rude, right? So doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not a cheater. I don't cheat, So he goes through and he takes this test and he brings home the results and he tells me, I'm going to set it up so you can go talk to the psychiatrist because I know you're not going to believe me. You're not going to believe me, right? So he allows me to see the report. I caught him actually doing homework, actually listening to you beforehand. And I'm positive he was doing homework, right?
Yeah.
So I get the results, and the information he gave was not accurate. He said it made it seem like he had an emotional affair with our neighbor, which he had I caught her in a negligee, so I'm sure, you know,
Right.
it wasn't just an emotional affair. And then I said to him, I said, did you tell them after? Because it wasn't in the report. Did you tell her that when I asked you about it? Because I went over to her house and she was expecting you, and she was in lingerie, and she was shocked, like going to hide her body when she saw me, but she wasn't going to hide anything when she knew you were coming through the door.
Right.
And I said, did you tell them that when I asked you about that, you punched a hole in the wall and broke your hand? And then had me lie about it because we're in the military and you could get in trouble. And he said, he kind of thought about it. And he said, and I could see the wheels turning, like, she might go and talk to this lady. He said, no. And then I said, then this report is not accurate. And he said, then he started raging on me, saying, I don't know if I said anything. I don't think I did. And he's like, just go talk to her. I don't want to talk to you about this. But what is striking, so he duped her because his diagnosis is just post-traumatic stress, major depression with anxiety, and alcohol dependency, but that's in remission because he hasn't actually physically taken a drink in 29 years. But in the report, it talks about how he is, his interpersonal, he appears to bottle frustration and only towards a select few, and react only towards a select few, which is myself and my son.
Right.
Though he has engaged in negative conduct and there are elevations on the PAI of antisocial behavior, all behaviors appear to be correlated with substance abuse and addiction as they have discontinued with sobriety, which is not true. He does not exhibit other prominent features of this personality constellation. Well, maybe sitting in front of her, he didn't, but they didn't ask me about anything. And I know I read you this whole report when we did a one-on-one, and your face was like blank with the blink eyes, like what the what?
Yeah.
And my counselor had the same expression, and you pointed out that doesn't make sense, that the antisocial behavior, usually one of the things they do to handle that is drink. And my counselor kind of said that a similar thing, and said, usually they can't diagnose antisocial, like if they're drinking, they can't diagnose it, but when they're sober and it comes up, then there's nothing to blame it on. You see what I'm saying? So this therapist, he duped her and got the diagnosis he wanted. But for me, getting this, all I see is the antisocial behavior, because that's literally what I live with. And on our one-on-ones, when I would say he does this and that, you even told me that's sociopathic behavior. Right. And he is such a future faker that I've been living my life with him, hoping and praying and just wanting to have him and I be like you and Kayla. But after looking at that, I'm like, it's not going to happen, because he is so far removed and such a future faker. But I'm moving on. I'm 100% making plans. And I'm just glad that I have all this. And I just wanted to share that with everybody you know.
No, absolutely. Thanks for coming on and sharing that. Because I mean, it's a lot of times we do have people, like, I recently have done some more videos, or mentioned in different videos, about, people not saying, like, well, if you ask if you're a narcissist, then you're probably not one, because for the same reason, there's people that will use and leverage therapy, different questions like that, to try to be able to justify and to try to be able to tell other people of, like, hey, like, this is, to try to convince other people and confuse them so that other people don't realize, no, there actually are narcissists that, ask that question. There actually is, people that go through different things to be able to confuse other people. Thankfully, it goes for the two of us out there. I don't know about a couple of the other ones, but like for Lee and for myself, neither one of our therapists ever came back and was like, well, if you're asking, then you're probably not one. No, they're like, okay, like, let's work on it. Let's see what we got. And then got the diagnosis, and now we're like still working on everything that we need to work on, for the stuff that we struggle with.
Yeah. Cause he did say that. And that's exactly what that therapist said to him.
Mm-hmm.
So she was already in the mindset that I wanted the diagnosis, and
Mm-hmm.
and and I didn't want the diagnosis. I just want the man to be nice, just be
right
and open and caring, and,
Mm-hmm.
not be so cruel,
Right. No, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad, even though you're going through all that, I'm glad you're getting clear about what you need to do.
Oh yeah, I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's good to hear from you. Stay in touch.
Thanks. Talk to you
later. Take care. Bye. All right. Last call of the day. I got you, Vanessa. All right. I'm bringing you on here. Hello.
Hi. I didn't realize you were ready for me. I was all right until I started hearing everybody else. And why does it sound like they're all dating, or dated my little one's father? Like,
right.
It's crazy to hear. I mean, I know there's a lot more of them out there than we'd like to admit, but it's just hearing you talk and watching you go through the thoughts and changing the actions. Holy shit, it's phenomenal. I don't know if you realize that, but it's phenomenal. I know I tell you that all the time, but it takes a lot of, I don't know if it's self-will or discipline or what it is, but I definitely feel what the last one was saying about wishing it could be like you and Kayla. And I used to tell my ex all the time, like, we could be helping people heal and making money off of this. And instead, I lost everything. Like, you keep losing shit. Like,
right.
I don't know. It's, I guess, the difference of being aware and not. And I woke up, I was okay today. And then you hit me with that challenge thing. And then when I looked it up and stuff, and I was like, man, I want to do it. But then I got pissed, and I'm like, I'm over here paying to heal and doing all this because I'm serious. Like, I can't feel like this anymore. And I do it by myself. Well, I get called a bum and a piece of shit mom. And, like,
right.
It's crazy to me. I do everything by myself. Yeah, I have my parents to help me. But as far as a parent goes, my mom's my baby daddy, and that's not cool. She didn't choose that. So I don't know. I've been trying to get more people to come on the app and to, if they have an issue, to talk to you or whatever the case is, because you've helped me. And it sucks 'cause I know the truth and I believe the truth, but I'm still fucking stuck.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge, like, trying to get away. And you have to give yourself credit too. Like, you've made a lot of progress compared to when we first talked. Like, I don't think a lot of people even know or realize, even just watching this today. I mean, when we first talked, you were a basket case. But I mean, you're able to come on here and actually talk, actually communicate. You've graduated, like you've got a degree, like you've done like a lot of different things too. Yes, you've done like a lot of different things, even since we started talking here like a couple months ago. And the progress you've made, I think, is phenomenal, because you're battling the narcissist. You're battling your mind, you're battling emotions, you're battling like some other physical stuff that like is a struggle too. Like, there's a lot of things against you. And you know what I can say about you that I can't say about a lot of other people is you keep showing up. It's like, I've had you on lives before. I've had you inside the Narc app before, and you're on there and you're like bawling, but you're on there. Like, and that's the thing, is like, you have got some huge amount of like gumption and tenacity, because no matter what, you're still there being like, I'm going after this healing and I'm going to get it no matter what. And that's what is going to continue to pay off. And it has. But like, where you are, think of it this way. When you and I first met, when we first had a one-on-one, can you imagine finishing college and being where you are now?
No, I can't even tell you how many times I wanted to quit.
And that's what I want to give you, just this tiny little bit. When you were back then, you couldn't imagine the future of where you are now. what that means, okay, what that means is, one, a lot of progress, and two, it also is super exciting. The reason why is because that means another 6 months, another year from now, you can't even imagine where you're going to be. And it's that engagement and that showing up of like, hey, I'm going to keep making this happen. One thing, whenever you guys have a birthday party and someone actually brings out a piñata, I know we don't see them too often, but someone has a piñata, okay? And you have 50 kids line up and they all go through and they all whack the piñata, and it finally breaks. And it breaks when the 50th kid walks up and it hits it. 50th kid breaks it. Which kid actually broke the piñata? Was it only that kid, or was it the combined effort of all the kids leading up to it? Because what happens is so many people go after healing, go after change, go after businesses, go after confidence, all these different things, and they get so far and then they stop because they're like, well, you know, this didn't work. I didn't get what I want. But they just need to understand to keep moving forward, because that intentional effort as you continue moving forward is going to pay off. It's going to pay off. And it already has, but it definitely will in the future because of that same fact, that the tenacity you have, you keep showing up. I can't get rid of you. You keep showing up, and you're not. The difference is you're not coming on, and I mean this respectfully. You're not coming on. You're not trauma dumping every time. You're not coming on like unhealed every time. You're coming on and be like, okay, this is where I am now. Like, this is what I'm struggling with now. Like, you're coming on with the tenacity of like, hey, I'm here, but you're also continuing that moving forward. You know, you're not you talking to you now compared to like, you know, a couple months ago, you're not coming in with like a victim mentality. You're not coming in of like a woe is me. You're like, I'm struggling, I'm hard, like this sucks, but you're still here. I think that's pretty amazing.
I'm like a roach. I don't go away.
We'll come up with a better analogy than that. But, yeah.
But it's because of you and the community that you've built. Honestly, if I didn't have you guys' support, I don't know if I'd keep coming back and if I'd be chasing the healing. I mean, me and my kids still deserve it just as much, but you make it so much easier. And I've made so many friends through this, and I had no friends. And
absolutely.
But
absolutely. I had a couple of people, because I'm streaming TikTok at the same time, and a couple of people saying hi over here to you as well.
Oh,
so, and there's people in the YouTube as well. But yeah, no, absolutely. So love having you in the community. If you guys don't know what she's talking about, it's all on the NARC app. So if you go to narcapp.com, narcapp.com, that's what we do, where we have weekly lives. We go live. We'll be live tonight, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time, but we go live every Monday. We have monthly coaching that happens. We just had Dr. Carrie McAvoy. She came on this past week, and she did an amazing job just going like in depth as far as like cognitive dissonance, trying to understand that, ramifications of it. I have secured for this coming month, actually, December is going to be Roller Coaster of Love. She's going to be coming on. So I'm super excited about that too. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome. Like, you've plugged into the community. You've been a great inspiration to everybody else. I mean, even people like in the comments, like, you're an inspiration, you're living inspiration, you're an inspirational. No, look at these. I want you to see these. Okay. Look at this. So well done. A great inspiration of all. I'm so proud of you. Vanessa with a ton of hearts. I got Jazzy there. Like, stay in there. Like, you're a living inspiration. Yeah, I mean, like, absolutely. Like a huge part. So
it means the world, because I feel like most days it's only my kids that see it. So I really,
a lot of other people that see it. And the crazy thing is, as you continue moving forward in that direction, that intentionality in that direction, like, you'll start seeing it too.
And I try to tell everybody to get on the app and do the premium membership, because the regular one is not it. Like, you need to be able to have all the benefits. I don't really use all the benefits, but it's definitely good to know I have them and they're available. And I was hearing the last woman talk about the toolbox, and I was like, well, what if you want to stab them in the throat with your tools? Like, that sucks. I'm like, I want to beat them with the tools, but I don't.
It's okay. Then that's the progress too.
It is. People don't realize how much progress that is alone. So
no, absolutely. That's why I'm laughing, because I know that it's 100% true. Oh gosh. Anyways,
thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. All right. Well, it was great talking to you. What was that?
I'll see you later.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. We'll see you tonight in the app. Awesome. So if you guys haven't had a chance to be able to check it out, you need to check out the NARC app. Go to narcapp.com, narcapp, narcapp.com. It's a great place where they're building a lot of community of people with courses, with challenges, with community. You can track your no contact. You can record your truth inside the journaling. You can also engage asking advice for people that are going through the same exact stuff. You can send in questions that we go over weekly. You can log in for the weekly lives or the monthly coaching, or you can sign up for different coaching packages and stuff like that. There's a lot of different things and a lot of things that get released there before they ever get released to the public. So like, for instance, whenever we released the journal from Fantasy Reality, that got released inside the Narc app a good while before it went live. Same thing with some of the stuff with the Clarity Challenge. That's going to get released here coming up in the next couple of weeks, but that's getting released inside the Narc app pretty soon as well. There's a couple people that already signed up for it, and so we're getting moving with that too. So we're super excited. But anyways, thank you guys so much. We're super excited to be here. Give you a heads up. Some people won't like it. So we've got about 2 more weeks or so, but we're going to have probably the last one of these happen on November 30th. We got a couple of things coming up with just Christmas and vacations and, a bunch of crazy stuff. And so we'll be pausing some of the live Q&As over the month of December, and then we'll be revamping and getting an idea if we're going to boot it back up in January, or if we're going to start switching to our nightly ones and start bringing the fire at night, how we normally used to do on Thursdays, either Thursdays or Fridays. I'm not sure, but we'll check it out as we go. So anyways, hope everybody has a great and fantastic day. I'll see a bunch of you guys tonight inside the Narc app. We'll see you guys at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. Y'all have a great and blessed Monday, and you have a great day.